Welcome to BS Draftcast, where we are Brandon and Steven, and we are here with the coverage from NFL Week 1. Let's dive right into it. What's up, man? Steven, it's been a while. I think our last thing we did was NFL free agency, but we're back, and Week 1, man. How you feeling? You feeling excited about this, or what's up?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it, man. Yeah, that the heat wave we've been having is starting to taper down a little bit, man. So definitely getting ready for football season. So I'm definitely excited for week one.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I couldn't agree more, man. This 90 to 100-degree weather has been absolute atrocious. And with them cool mornings, man, it just makes you think of Sunday morning sitting on the couch watching NFL game day, ready just waiting for the 1 o'clock games to come on.
That's it too, man. Yeah, that's one thing that comes with the NFL season is once we start getting into December, January, we start getting the crap weather. So you got to take the good with the bad.
You're not wrong there. You're not wrong at all. Hey, I'm excited. I know you're excited. Um, as everyone knows, anyone's watched, obviously Steven is a Ravens fan. I'm a Steelers fan. I know we should hate each other according to the bylaws of the NFL, but that's not the case. Um, but it adds a little diversity. We're not both just up here uh, slobbing on the Steelers, and we're not both just slobbing on the Ravens. We actually are a lot. We're I would like to say that we're player fans for the most part. There's a lot of players and teams that we like and enjoy watching. So let's dive right in it. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. or 8:20 p.m. So kickoff 8:30, we'll call it. Your beloved Ravens against the Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. Uh, how you feeling about this Ravens team? We're gonna lead right off into it.
Man, I'm really excited about this team. We are healthier going into the season than I can honestly remember. We we addressed a lot of needs in free agency. We had some big, we had a big signing with Derrick Henry and that, and
Oh
we
yeah.
just coming going into it healthy was my biggest concern. And Adisa Isaac, he was one of our picks this year. He's not going to be playing on Sunday. I mean, sorry, not on Sunday, tomorrow. Jeez. But he's not going to be playing. But other than that, man, we're healthy. I'm excited. I'm excited to give the Chiefs a run for their money. They don't have Marquise Brown. They're not going to have Rasheed Rice, but you know, there's a Patrick Mahomes, man. The dude somehow he always finds a way to make it work, and if it's playoff time, the refs kind of help him a little bit, but we're not gonna get into that. But no, I'm excited, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah, we dove into that a lot. We dove into that a lot previously. So no, I get it. I 100% get it. Um, yeah, the Ravens team looking nasty, boy. They've always figured out the run game. They've always figured out and had a good run game. But man, I tell you what, you add Derrick Henry to the mix, boy. Whoo,
Shit, man. I don't know. We end up getting Keaton Mitchell back and really start
change
the
the pace
the
back right
biggest
there.
thing is get that pass rush going, man. That's our biggest hurdle right now. I don't know. I want to know how the offensive line is going to perform, just because we got a lot of new starters in there this year, and some guys that were carryovers that maybe they played well but weren't, great. It's just figuring out the offensive line and the pass rush, man. But I'm excited, dude. I am very excited.
Yeah, well, obviously, we're going to cover a bunch of the games this weekend, and obviously, this being the main one, it's the kickoff of the start. It seems like Kansas City has Baltimore's number whenever it comes to them playing. But on the flip side, Baltimore isn't playing in the playoffs. So does Baltimore have Kansas City's number? Do you think Baltimore? Because the spread right now, obviously, anyone that's tuned in and watched, we do go over sports bets, my favorite picks for the week or weekend, whatever it may be, college and pros. But the spread right now has Kansas City favored. I know you're going into Arrowhead, which is a tough place to play, obviously. But do you think that Baltimore has a chance to go in and shock everyone and steal a W? Which to me, that's a huge confidence booster, especially with the Chiefs, a team that usually starts out slow.
I think so. I think our offense needs to click early. We need to get points on the board. The kicking the field goals and stuff, that's all fine and dandy, but we got to move the ball. We got to get points on the board if we're gonna be able to control the pace. We have to control the pace of the game at our own pace. We can't let Kansas City get up, because once Patrick Mahomes starts getting in a groove and Travis Kelsey starts dropping down into the zones and everything else, like it just makes things, it throws everything out of whack. The defense gets deflated. If the offense isn't moving the ball, which I don't think that we're going to have any issues with that. But I honestly, I'm going to jinx it, but I could see us going over in this one just because they won't have Marquise Brown. He's not playing. They don't have Rasheed Rice because of the suspension deal and all that going on. But I, there's still Travis Kelsey, and Xavier Worthy, the young speedster out of Texas, man. So they have weapons, but I think that we should go over on Kansas City this week.
And I mean, you can't forget about Pacheco in the backfield either, because they seem to have figured that out.
Oh
I
no.
think, to me, I honestly feel that um, Kansas City is going to be back to that high-powered passing game. Uh, and I know they got away from that last year. They were, I mean, let's be honest, they ran the ball very well last year. So I think this year you're going to see a um, a difference in that offense. I think it's going to be more of the high octane passing that you're used to and accustomed to from Patrick Mahomes. But I think if another pick that the Baltimore Ravens took, I think if Nate Wiggins can match up well and Marlon Humphrey's healthy, obviously Kyle Hamilton's doing his damn thing. I think that defense matches up well against them. Honestly, obviously the big blow, Patrick Queen moving on and going to Pittsburgh. Big ups to Patrick Queen coming to the Berg. Love you for that. But Trenton Simpson stepping in, man. I know we've talked about this numerous of times. People just act like Trenton Simpson's like Kendrell Bell. Like, I mean, this dude is blazing. He's I don't think people realize how good he actually is, and I think he's going to prove it. And I think that's going to be a big matchup. That fact that the Baltimore can put Roquan or they can put Trenton on Travis Kelsey, and they can match size and speed with their linebackers. They're both middle linebackers in the middle.
Well, yeah, you know how it is too with fan bases. They start tripping over like the smallest things, man. It's like, come on, dude. Like we lost Patrick Queen, that's a big blow. But Trenton Simpson, that dude fell to us in the second round last year, not the last draft, but the year prior, and
Right.
I was stoked, man. But he sat me on the bench. He learned from two of the best in the league. Like everybody's tripping about that. The dude's an animal. I mean, I'm not even honestly really concerned about it, to be honest. But as far as Travis Kelsey, get a guy like Kyle Hamilton, get him on him too. Get that, get somebody to just body him that can match him athletically, and don't let him just sit down under our zones because that's what he does best, man. When him and Patrick Mahomes start freestyling and he just gets underneath your zones or over the top, between guys, it's a nightmare. You can't stop him, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing that Baltimore has to do. But I think we can pull this one out. And like you said too, keeping Pacheco in check is it's easier said than done because he just runs so angry and he's so he's so sporadic.
Right.
He can just break one at any time. So he's gotten better as a receiver out of the backfield. So it's not that the Kansas City Chiefs don't have weapons. I just I'm confident going into this week. I am.
Yeah, I honestly think that the Baltimore Ravens match up well, especially the defense um, being healthy. That's the biggest thing is that defense, and that defense hasn't been healthy in a while. So I think that them being healthy, and if they can stay healthy, I think they match up really well. And like I said, the Kansas City Chiefs don't start seasons well. I don't know if it's the Super Bowl hangover, like the old adage is, but I mean they just don't start well. And this is a chance for the Ravens to jump out, get that leg up on them, and who knows, come playoff time. I mean that one win at the beginning of the season might be the one that is the difference between first seed and second seed with Baltimore and Kansas City.
No, it's definitely a possibility, man. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just genuinely excited that tomorrow the game is on. It's week one. It's a great matchup. It's not some bogus matchup. I mean, I am genuinely excited for this game, and I do like the Ravens. I've grown to like them, especially with us talking and BSing back and forth, and no pun intended. I know I just said BSing. It's kind of where we got our name from, but Brandon Steven and then BSing about football. But I mean, it's just it's a great matchup. There's no weather in effect. I mean, it's going to be 77 degrees in Kansas City, as what the ESPN's saying right now. So I
Ooh,
mean,
nice.
it's prime football weather. There's no
Yeah.
excuses. Mark Andrews is back healthy. Isaiah Likely, I really hope they get involved because that man is a problem. I mean,
Yes.
there's just Baltimore has weapons, offensive and defensively. But I don't want to sit and I know tomorrow's the first game, but we definitely want to cover some other games. But I'm right there with you. I think Baltimore could potentially squeak this game out, maybe on a late Justin Tucker field goal, final seconds of the game, something like that. Just knowing the track history of the Kansas City Chiefs and their slow start to the season. Um, then I mean we go back to back. We go right into Friday's game. 8:15 game over in Brazil. Which that's pretty cool that they're expanding over into Brazil. I'm glad that it is on a Friday because damn well if this was on a Sunday or a Saturday, the game would have been at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trying to relax a little bit and try and wake up before I have to watch football, get my mind right. But I mean, we got another late night game in Brazil. I don't know if you heard, but I know that they were talking about the color green because of the gangs and stuff over there, and like they weren't sure what they're gonna do, but they actually gave the Packers the okay to wear green. So the Packers are gonna be the ones in green. Um, we got an Eagles Packers game, which we got an Eagles team that, to say the least, they dropped the bag. Last year they were very underwhelming, to say the least. And you got a Packers team who's young, they're hot, they were rolling last year, and they might pick up where they left off. And this might be a team that's a force to be reckoned with coming into the season, which I could honestly see. I really like what the Packers have done, and I mean they've just gotten better. Who was the big free agent signing they had in the offseason? Safety, wasn't it?
Oh, Xavier McKinney.
Yeah, they went and got Xavier McKinney. I mean,
Roll
whew,
Tide.
I I think this is a game to prove that the Eagles are back to that dominant football, and this has a lot of rides on Jalen Hurts' shoulders. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley now, you got Jalen, you got AJ Brown, you got Devonta. I mean, the list of offensive weapons just is endless. So the Eagles, I think this is that game. That it's one of them games. I know it's week one. It's the first game of the season. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be. There's kinks and bugs and so on and so forth that needs to be worked out. But to me, I feel like the Eagles have to come out and prove it. And if they come out and lay an egg, people are gonna be like, wait, what's going on here? So
Yeah.
the Philadelphia is favored by 2.5, which is actually kind of surprising to me, especially how good the uh how good the Packers were, especially running that run they went on at the end of the season. I know they lost some key pieces with running backs, but don't forget, Josh Jacobs went to Green Bay. So, I mean, does he just plug right in and keep the bus rolling in the running game, take that pressure off Jordan Love, let him do what he's going to do with them young studded receivers, and they play good defense? Who knows? What's your thoughts on the the Packers Eagles game? What do you foresee the outcome of this game? I mean, do you think it's going to be one of them high scoring back to back? No one's playing defense, or do you think that Eagles defense is going to get back to where they should be because somehow, once again, the Eagles drafted every cornerback in the draft that no one should have let them have, and they had all the corners last year in the draft. So I mean, this team, if you put this team on paper, the Eagles defense on paper, it's arguably the best appealing and appetizing looking defense in the NFL. I mean, from defensive line to corners to linebacker. I mean, top to bottom, that team on paper looks absolutely terrifying. But what's your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think the outcome of this could be?
No, dude, absolutely, man. That's kind of this game in general is like a great game to start off week one with. I mean, like obviously we talked about the Ravens game, but like just to start off week one, like they got a good lineup of games, dude. You know, so I'm really excited about this game in particular, just because both teams, I think the Eagles have a lot to prove, and so do the Packers. I feel like the Packers, like to themselves, they have a lot to prove because I feel like people underestimate the Packers because Jordan Love's had one full season where he played great. He played outstanding last year, so they want to prove themselves because they're a young team. And then the same thing with Philly. Jalen Hurts needs to show like I'm not just the tush push guy. You know, like
I
I can make all the throws. You know, he has a lot to prove to himself and to the fan base. And they kind of ride or die by him. I know they got Saquon Barkley and whatnot, and their offensive line, despite Jason Kelsey retiring, is still a very good offensive line.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they everybody's still intact for the most part. So it really falls on Jalen Hurts to take that team and take them to the next level because I think that they're going to get their defense sorted out. I think that with a lot of the issues they had last year was primarily in the secondary, but like you just said, they addressed a lot of those issues, and they're probably going to have some, you know, some little blunders and whatnot with the rookies and stuff. But I think this could be a really good game. I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be like a shootout, like high scoring, crazy game. But I think it would be one of those games where the teams consistently score, but the defense consistently, you know, like they're kind of going back and forth, and then they score, and then a couple series later, that team scores to get back, and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I
I could
think it
buy
could be
that.
one of those games. Yeah,
I do want
I
to.
mean, I think it'd be one of those games.
I do want to make mention. The reports coming out of Eagles training camp is there is a lot of QB designed runs specifically for Jalen Hurts. So that could play a major factor because I think they kind of got away from that last year. Was like they didn't have the design QB runs. Obviously, the tush push, which whatever. But like the designed RPO of him faking a handoff, and now you have Saquon. So now you really have to key in and be like, okay, who are we going to focus on this play or on plays where they're both in the backfield, or is it going to be a QB run? Is it going to get Jalen Hurts out on in space and out on the edge? So I mean that's a big thing that may play a big factor into a lot of things.
No, I agree with that 100%. And that's only going to propel Jalen Hurts more. And I think that if you start getting to the point where the defenses are guessing now, you know, because
Yep.
kind of like similar to what we do in Baltimore with the RPO and stuff. You think he's sending it off, he dumps it off. You know, he throws it deep, et cetera, et cetera. So it opens up the offense whenever you have a quarterback that has that dual threat ability, which Jalen Hurts obviously has. But I just think he needs to prove to himself and to the fan base and the league, like I can make these throws. That's his biggest thing is I can make these freaking throws. So I think as a whole, man, I think the Eagles are in good shape. It's just putting all that young talent and stuff that they've accumulated over the years, and I think Green Bay, for being a young team, I mean, last year they looked really cohesive, man. So
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a
absolutely.
really good game, really good game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Honestly, it's just uh, whoever. I just want to give kudos to whoever put this week one NFL schedule out because they put some thought into this. I mean, there is some games now. I mean, you start off with Ravens Chiefs, and then the very next day you go Packers Eagles, and then you go 2 days. You get a day and you get a break in between, and then Sunday you start rattling off all the 1 o'clock, the 4 p.m., and the 8 p.m., and then Monday you finish up with the Jets and the 49ers. So I mean, there's some games now. I mean, jeez. So kudos to whoever put the schedule out, whoever decided to do this. This is on paper, it's shaping out to be one of the best opening weeks that I've seen in a very long time. But obviously, time will tell what's actually going to happen. Uh, no one knows. I mean, one key injury could ruin a game. But let's fingers crossed, knock on wood. Let's hope no teams have any injuries, especially key injuries. I hate to see it. I want to see teams healthy. I want to see teams at 100%, and I want to see everyone ball. I want to have the best football year we've ever had. For me, I am going to take the Eagles minus 2.5. If anyone's watching for the picks, I'll recap every game, just a quick rundown at the end. But at the end of every game we cover, I am going to take the Eagles at 2.5. I do think that the Eagles win this game by 7. I think, like I said, it's a prove it game. They got to prove it to themselves. They got to prove to the world that last year was a fluke. It was bad. They snuck into the playoffs. They got beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, it was bad all around. So it's just one of them things that I think the Eagles are coming out and they got a fire under their ass, and I think they're ready. I think they're ready. I think they've been hitting training camp hard, and I think they got the right tools in place to succeed this year, and they might be back on top of the NFC again. Steelers Falcons. Here we go. Arthur Smith returning back to where he just came from and got ran out of the building. We've mentioned it. We talked about it in the previous videos that some coaches just aren't head coaches. It seems to be the case with Arthur. I'm not a fan of him whatsoever. Never have been. I like it's a love hate relationship, I guess, because he's a perfect scheme for what we have, considering the fact that we have two awesome running backs. We have two quarterbacks that are pretty mobile. One quarterback who's electric in Justin Fields, which everyone knows my standpoint on Justin Fields. If you watched any other video, I hate Justin Fields. Do I want him to succeed in Pittsburgh? 1,000%, because I want Pittsburgh to win. So it's a double-edged sword. If he comes out and balls out, I'll give him credit. Obviously, Russell Wilson is the starter. I see by week 5, 6 that changing unless Russell digs deep and finds that Seattle Russell Wilson. But he has not shown it whatsoever. Pittsburgh's defense looks great. Pittsburgh's defense is just Pittsburgh's defense. Cam Hayward, congratulations on robbing Pittsburgh just like Ben did at the end of his career. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I mean Patrick Queen with the big signing with Patrick Queen. Our corners, JPJ's JPJ. Cornerback on the other side, kind of shaky, but Corey Trice preseason looked amazing. Obviously brought back burnt toast Cam Sutton. He's suspended for the first 6 games. Am I right on that? 6 games?
Yep.
Because he's a dumbass, which it is what it is. I'm not. I could care less. Cam Sutton ran out of Pittsburgh, went to Detroit, played well, got absolutely demolished by Mike Evans. Mike Evans surprisingly didn't break the single season record for receiving yards in a single game. But the defense, I think, will be fine. I think that they're going to try and go back to that Steeler football of the 80s and 90s. Run the ball, play great defense, control the clock, win the game by 3-4 points. I hate that for Pittsburgh because they never win the close ones, ever. If you remember a couple years ago, what was it? It was like 9 games decided by 3 points or something. Something crazy. But I don't know, man. Obviously, as a Pittsburgh fan, I want Pittsburgh to win this game. There's no doubt. There's no questioning. As a realistic Pittsburgh fan, if Kirk Cousins goes in this offense and clicks well with these receivers and this insane tight end and just everything, the defense better be ready, and the defense better force a turnover. They got to get points on defense. I say it. I feel like I say it every game, every year, but the defense is going to have to force turnovers, and they're going to have to be locked in because if Kurt Thuggins comes out and is balling with Drake London, with Kyle Pitts, with who else do they have down there? Hell, they have
Shoot, they got a Darnell Mooney in the off season.
Yeah, they got Darnell moving in off season. I mean, what's the Falcons' offensive line like?
They have a solid line. Yeah, they have a solid line. I mean, they're not the Eagles or nothing, but they have a rock solid line. I mean, they got Chris Lidstrom and Jake Matthews and some veteran guys. They're solid.
Who has the task of going against the great T.J. Watt?
Oh God, yeah, he's gonna go against shoot
Who is their right tackle?
Caleb McGarry.
Okay, so he's not the worst, but he's not the greatest. He's not.
Oh my
like,
God, they had it. They had it. Storm Norton. I'm not gonna go on a rant. Oh, never mind. I'm just gonna let it go.
Oh no, we're getting to Storm Norton,
Dude.
You
Put him in, dude. put him in, dude. TJ Watt's gonna break the freaking single game sack record. All right, I'm done.
I don't know. For me, 3.5 points against Atlanta. Kirk Cousins in a new offense. Yeah, they have a ton of weapons, but Pittsburgh has the defense to counter them weapons, I feel. Especially with them, I think Minka's going to be able to play his style of game. He's not going to have to play that shadow game like he did last year. I think that JPJ is going to do JPJ things. TJ Watt's going to do his thing. Patrick Queen's going to be flying around. I mean, they have a ton of pieces on defense. It's all going to boil down to the offense and like the flipping the possession, flipping the field. If the offense can get the ball and flip the field and put them back deep in their 10-yard line, 20-yard line, that's going to be a big game changer. But the offense is going to have to move the ball, and I really hope that if they, with having Russell in there opposed to Kenny Pickett, you have a quarterback who's been around the league and not around the league. He's been around and has been in the league for however long. If he sees that there's 9 people in that box, I would assume with his knowledge and his expertise of the game, he would check out of a halfback dive to Najee Harris or a pitch to Najee Harris, because Najee Harris is not a outside the tackler runner. He's a hammer and everyone else is a nail. So I'm hoping the offensive line, I know, got a complete revamp. It didn't look great in the preseason, but I'm hoping that just it gets better as time goes on. That's basically all I could say. And I mean, what else can you say? I mean, we got some people that you think like, damn, this offensive line looks mean. It looks nasty. They're a bunch of maulers. So, I mean, for me, 3.5 points against Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh can keep it close, obviously we got one of the best kickers in the NFL with Boswell. We could squeak it out in Atlanta and shock everyone. Like I said, you have 2 quarterbacks going into a new offense. Actually, 3 if you want to. I'm sure I would assume we're going to see Justin Fields on some design quarterback runs. I think that his athleticism, you can't just leave him sitting on the bench. But I could be wrong. I'm not an offensive coordinator. I don't know. What's your thoughts? I mean, do you think that Pittsburgh has a shot against Atlanta? I mean, actually, I can't even ask that because they have a shot, obviously. But it boils down to Russ. What do you think the outcome of do you think that you see a well-oiled machine in the offense of the Steelers where they're getting what they want, they're running the ball well, they're running the play action, it's getting people open, it's getting GP open, it's getting Van Jefferson open? Or do you see this offense struggle trying to fire on all cylinders? Do you think it's the same thing that we were accustomed to last year with the offense, where it was just atrocious and it was bad? It was 2-yard passes. It was a 3-yard pass. Every once in a while you try to go over the top and George Pickens makes an incredible catch. Or do you see something with the dynamic of Russ and someone who can actually throw the ball and read defenses and has the knowledge of the game, do you think that you see a different offense than we were accustomed to last year and the year previous?
I think that if Russell Wilson, I don't think he can be worse than Kenny Pickett. I don't. I don't think anybody. I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't think anybody can be worse than Kenny Pickett. All right, so let me start with that. But I think that it may take a little bit of time to kind of get the ball rolling with this offense and that. But you got Najee Harris. He's a guy that you can hand the ball to 20 times. I know Jaylen Warren, he's questionable. I don't think he's going to play.
No, they said he's playing.
Is he going to play?
Yeah, him
Damn.
and the receiver we drafted, Roman Wilson.
Yeah, I seen Roman Wilson was practicing.
Yes, Roman Wilson
Okay.
and Jalen are supposed to be playing.
So that takes a lot of pressure off of. He may be on a limited snap count,
Right,
Jaylen Warren, but that takes a lot of pressure off of Russ to come out there and be Seattle Seahawks prime Russell Wilson. It takes a lot of that off of him. that offensive line, like you said, is revamped. Sumalo is going to be out probably for a few weeks, but
Yes, yeah.
I'm not sure if they're going to start Mason McCormick or not. But I really liked him. He was a small school guy, so maybe he's not ready. Maybe they know that and they're not going to put him in to the starting lineup. But he has a lot of room for growth. So as far as that offensive line, man, they're all young. Fatanu, he practiced, so he had a questionable tag. I think he's going to play. I really think that they're going to be a little more revamped. The problem for me is who's going to be their number 2 receiver? Because I hate the Barry Van Jefferson, but Van Jefferson's got that. He's had that tag since he came in the league, where he's man, it's right there. If he would just reach out and grab it, it's right there. But he just never rises to the occasion. Are they going to get Calvin Austin involved like they need to? Is Roman Wilson going to be on a snap count? I'm assuming he will be. Rookie, limited snaps, coming off injury, blah blah blah.
Scary injury. Let's add that. I
Exactly.
thought it was a lot worse.
I thought that he might have been done for the season, which would have really sucked. I'm glad he's not. But are they going to get Darnell Washington involved in the red zone? Get him out there. Pittsburgh has weapons. It's just using them the way they need to be used. Yeah, it's frustrating. While you watch them last year, like I said, can't get any worse than Kenny. But they have these weapons that they just do not use. It doesn't seem like they were using properly, so hopefully Arthur Smith kind of comes in. And he likes to use tight ends, and he likes to run the ball. So hopefully, God willing, hopefully he gets everything out of this offense that he can get.
Yes. I mean, you got Pat. You got
yeah.
I mean, they brought in Scotty Miller, who is another speedster. So
Yeah.
you got Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson, George Pickens. Obviously, Cordell Patterson, another one of them players that's like a slash, like a Cordell Stewart. He can line up anywhere, and he's going to produce. You said the name that's big to me, and that's Darnell Washington. This man, I'm just under the impression that he is a designated lineman.
Yeah.
I'm under that impression. I mean, I don't understand how you have such a physically gifted, gigantic dog of a man that you do not get him involved. And maybe Arthur Smith changes that. I mean, if I'm a quarterback and I see these tight ends that Pittsburgh has, I'm like, damn, you got a 6'7" tight end and a 6'5" tight end? Say less.
Yeah, and they get open.
And I don't get me wrong, Darnell Washington isn't Kyle Pitts. He's not running a 4.40, but the dude is a mismatch nightmare. You get him the ball, if he starts rumbling, I promise you, safeties and corners are not going to want to tackle him.
No. In Pittsburgh, the tackling, dude, Pittsburgh's defense, I mean, I like the Dante Jackson signing. I thought that was a really solid signing for them. I think, honestly, that he matches up really well with Darnell Mooney. And I think that JPJ matches up really well with Drake London. So I feel like if Dante Jackson is healthy, that's his biggest freaking problem, always has
Right.
been. But if he's healthy and he can match up with him, and then you got Trice in there, then that kind of gives their secondary a little bit of rep. You know, if you got Minka Fitzpatrick, his head's on straight. They signed DeShaun Elliott, who's my boy. I love DeShaun Elliott. So the biggest issue with Pittsburgh defense for a while now has been their secondary, and right now I think that they're rock solid. I'm interested to see how they use Dante Jackson and Corey Trice, but I think that them along with JPJ, I think they all match up well against the Falcons offense. The thing with the Falcons is you got to put a hat on Bijan Robinson. You
Yes.
just Pittsburgh's great against the run historically, always has been like great against the run, but he's also a threat out of the backfield. So you got to get a hat on him. Kirk Cousins being a veteran, he knows how to read the defense. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to operate, and he will audible out, similar to what you said with Russ. So the Falcons' biggest issue is their defense. Their defense is what are you going to get pass rush wise? You know,
Right.
everybody. I thought that they were going to take Miles,
Yep.
and they ended up taking Michael Penix, who I really like. But I was kind of shocked to see that just because we already explained that. But I thought for sure that they were going to go for an edge rusher, and they ended up drafting one later on, but he blew out his knee.
Yep.
So yeah, so the Falcons defense has been pretty rough, especially in the pass rush department for the past few years. So I don't know. I think it could be one of those deals where the defenses. I think Pittsburgh's defense holds Atlanta's offense, and Pittsburgh's offense just needs to put some points on the board, just to squeak away a victory.
I agree with that. I agree with that assessment. And honestly, I just want to make mention of a name that has I've been lobbying for since we drafted him, and he's really looked amazing. My boy Keanu Benton. I think
Yeah,
this is his breakout year. Uh, and rotating in and out with Ogunjobi and man, I think Keanu Benton he's gonna have himself a year this year. I honestly do. And
yep,
then Peyton Wilson, if that man stays healthy, hold on. Patrick
yeah,
Queen and Peyton Wilson, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith with Nick Herbig in Landon. I mean, Mark Robinson. Obviously, notoriously, Steelers have dogs at linebacker. Same with, as always, the Baltimore Ravens. But man, PQ and Peyton Wilson, and that might be a combo that you might see a lot on the field on Sunday, considering the fact that you got to have a hat on Bijan, like you said, and you got to have a hat on Kyle Pitts. So you can flip flop either of the two. That they can both run with either of them guys. And I mean, time will tell. Kickoff 1 p.m. The spread's 3.5, over under 41.5. For me, I'm not. Everyone knows I don't touch betting the Steelers. I don't. It takes away the enjoyment of watching my favorite team. But if I were to have to pick a bet on this game, I'm taking the over on the points. I think both teams come out and score at least 20 over. I think at least one. I think it's like a 24-21 game, something like that. All right, moving on to the Cardinals and the Bills. This is a little bit of the like meh kind of game. Uh I just want to touch and say the excitement that I have for this game is watching Marvin Harrison Jr.
yep. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I want to see what Kyle Murray might be playing Call of Duty right now. The beta came out, and I know you got X amount of days to play it, so he might not be looking at the playbook. But Kyle Murray, if I know Kyler Murray and I've watched a lot of Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray is going to come out and throw that ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. If this
Yep.
man does anything that he did in college, the league is about to get woke up by Kyler Murray, or by Marvin Harrison Jr. On the other side, the Bills, yeah, they drafted Keon Coleman. They lost Stephon Diggs, and they lost. Oh, drawing a blank. Um, hell, what is his name? Why am I dumb right now? Who did the Bills lose? Receiver.
I'm trying to remember. Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis.
Gabe
He went
Davis.
to the
Yes.
Jags.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, he went to the
Um,
Jaguars.
Josh Allen might be crying about not having someone to throw the ball to, and Kyler Murray's playing Call of Duty. So this game, I don't know. I honestly don't know. We know Bills Mafia, them dumbass fans, are gonna show out, of course, in Buffalo. But man, I don't know. These are two teams that are in a very odd situation because the Bills, we were talking about a team that we were thinking that could be in the Super Bowl. To now, their offense is looking kind of shaky. Yeah, you still have Josh Allen, but I mean the offense looks shaky to me. And on the defensive side of the ball, they lost some. They lost their safety. They've drafted some pieces. They have some things, but neither team's really impressive to say the least. Um, what's your thoughts on Cardinals and Bills? Um, do the Cardinals stand a chance going into Buffalo?
Well, I honestly, I kind of think the Cardinals do stand a chance, man, because I mean they didn't really put anything around Josh Allen after losing those two guys. I mean, I know Gabe Davis had his ups and downs and stuff like that, but like
He
they didn't
always made
really
the
add
big catches,
anything.
though. Always made the big catches.
Always made the big catches, man, and they didn't put anything really around Josh Allen to kind of like get anybody excited. And you know how I feel about Keon Coleman. I'm a Keon Coleman guy, and I feel
Yep.
like he's one of those guys that he's a contested catch, you know, big body guy, and they brought in Valdez Scantling, you know what I mean? But they got Curtis Samuel, who's solid, but he's never really found that role as a receiver. He's kind of a gadget guy, but he's good at what he does. So I'm not hating on the guy. They got
He
Khalil
never panned
Shakir, who
out
I
to what
really
he
like.
should be. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Curtis Samuel never developed into what I thought he was going to be. But if I'm the Bills, um, last year they drafted Dalton Kincaid, who I really
Yes.
like.
He's a beast.
And yes, he's a animal, but they also have Dawson Knox. I would try to get those two guys on similar to Baltimore with Likely and Mark Andrews. I would I'll try to get them on the field at the same time as much as I can. And I think if you do that, I think that really ups it for the Bills in their chances of getting cohesiveness on their offense. So I think that the Cardinals have a chance. I don't know if they're going to win because the Cardinals defense stinks.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
The
It's
Cardinals defense sucks.
there's so many holes in that defense, and let's be honest, man. I think the Bills are really gonna rely on Josh Allen's legs. I think that's gonna be a key contributor to every week if they're gonna be successful.
Yeah, and one thing that people forget about with the Bills on defense, I mean, they lost Tre'Davious White, which is he's dealt with injuries the last few years. You know, they added Rasul Douglas, but bro, they got Damar Hamlin.
That,
You know
you're
what I'm
not
saying?
wrong. I completely forgot
Yeah.
about
So
Demar. Almost forgot
yeah.
about
So
Demar. That's my fault. My
yeah,
apologies,
yeah.
NFL, for forgetting about him. I sincerely apologize.
Good lord. But they
uh,
Matt Milano, man, he had another big injury, so he's out again. You know,
yes.
possibly for the season. And I'm just like,
Who
because
played a
he's one of the
big.
best linebackers in the league.
I was
You
just
know,
about to say,
it's sad.
he played a huge role with Buffalo, and literally he's put himself in the top 5 linebackers in the league, hands down. And it's sad to see someone like him go down, especially for a potential season ending.
I agree.
The,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, too with the Cardinals, what are you getting with Kyler? Like you said,
yeah,
what are you getting? What are you getting with Kyler Murray? Are you going to get that guy that he's a dual threat? You know, I feel like he kind of lost his confidence a little bit because I'll be honest, they did a lousy job building around him initially, and losing those guys. And I mean, the only real consistent guy he's had is your boy James Conner. You
that
know,
ain't my boy.
I know. And but they're building around him. You know, you got your Marvin Harrison Jr. You got Michael Wilson, who I think is a really good receiver who's underrated, and They drafted Trey Benson, who I really like. I don't know if he's going to play much. I don't know what kind of role he's going to have with James Conner kind of being, the guy. But I think the Cardinals, it's just their defense, man. I think offensively, if they can figure it out, I think they can put up some points and make some noise. But their defense is just very volatile.
It's
They drafted
subpar
Darius
to say the
Robinson.
least.
Yeah, they drafted Darius Robinson, who I really like. He's on injured reserve. They drafted B.J. Ojulari last year. He's on injured reserve. So like, there goes your pass rush juice. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just they just cannot win, man. Like, they just can't win. They can't get that defense right.
yeah. I mean, personally, I think Buffalo wins this game at home. I don't see them losing to the Cardinals. Uh, but it could be. I mean, Cardinals come out, shock the world, and Marvin Harrison Jr. comes out and puts up 200 yards receiving, first game ever. I mean, time will tell. Um, this is one of the more lackluster games for the season, I think, or
Yeah.
for the season for the week one slate. Um, but betting wise, Buffalo 6.5, total 48.5. Honestly, if I'm betting this game, which I highly doubt I touch it, the 48.5 seems awfully high. I'd go under that number. It feels to me. Let's roll right in, and I'm glad you mentioned the building process for Kyler because we're rolling right into a team that it kind of like kicked this guy in the face and said, "Watch this." And Titans and Bears. The Bears had Justin Fields. They said it was his guy. They were his. I can't talk English, please. That Justin Fields was their guy. They want him for the future. They see so much in him. Blah blah blah. So on and so forth. Justin Fields leaves. They draft Caleb Williams, which biggest hype in the world. Everyone knows my standpoint on Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be a typical USC quarterback. He's going to be a bust. He's going to be a bum. Um, he looked good in preseason, but it's preseason. I take preseason with a grain of salt. But they go out and they put every single thing
God, dude.
possible for this man to succeed. You got a veteran receiver. Well, I mean, you could say DJ Moore's another veteran, but you have a true
Yeah.
vet in Keenan Allen. You have DJ Moore, who Justin Fields didn't care if 11 guys were covering him. He was either running the ball or he was throwing it to DJ Moore. Went out and got Rome Duzier in the draft, and then you have Khalil Herbert in the backfield. Who's the other running back they got?
DeAndre Swift.
They got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. I mean, this offense is probably on paper, arguably the best Bears offense in my lifetime that I have seen ever.
Yeah, that's a far cry from Rex Grossman.
And then, I mean, look at the defensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, we're talking about a defense that doesn't look bad on paper. I mean, this team, honestly, looking at before week one starts and seeing how people perform, this team looks like it's a team that we're talking about potentially at the top of the NFC North competing with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, like you said,
Then
on paper.
yeah, exactly. Time will tell. Obviously, we'll be revisiting this and we'll recap on Sunday or Monday, whatever day it may be, what happened over the weekend and what our thoughts are and what we think and we see in the games. But the Bears look like a team to be reckoned with. If Caleb Williams is exactly what everyone expects and thinks, and uh, I what the praise that they have for him and the pedestal that they put Caleb Williams on, like he's the next Patrick Mahomes. If he pans out to be that guy, the Bears are about to be a force for years to come.
Yep.
On the flip side of things, you have the Titans, who, to me, Will Levis, Mayo man, isn't very good. He has a bunch of old ass receivers. Don't get me wrong, I love D Hop, but he's old. They got Calvin Ridley. He's old. I mean, they granted they put some security around Will Levis, but the big one they lost Derrick Henry. So the biggest security blank of it all is gone. Didn't they sign Tony Pollard, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
So Tony Pollard played outstanding whenever Zeke was in Dallas, and everyone said Tony Pollard should be starter. Tony Pollard became the starter, and the dude was allergic to the end zone.
Yep.
Dude could not sniff the end zone. So, me personally, I don't see the Bears. There's no way they lose this game. They can't. I mean, their poster child of Caleb Williams loses the opener with the weapons that he has and the defense that they built in the offseason and everything. That city might burn to the ground. Or it'll be one of them things. Oh, it's his first game as a quarterback. He's still adjusting the NFL. Well, they said he's NFL ready, so let's see it. Let's see if he's NFL ready.
Yeah.
Any input on these Titans Bear game? Like, cause I'm actually excited to watch this game. Not a fan of either quarterback, but it's one of them games where I'm like, okay, like this could be a really good game.
Yeah, and I'm not going to touch much on the Bears because you pretty much covered everything and said like verbatim what I wanted to say. Like like this is like they're winning a Super Bowl, like
Yes,
that's
yeah,
been the whole deal,
right.
But seriously, that is one of the best teams I've ever seen put around a rookie quarterback in my freaking life. And if he stinks up the joint, then hey, listen, Jamarcus Russell, you might be the number 2 biggest bust in NFL history because Caleb Williams might shoot to the top because that dude
Right.
has nothing but
Oh,
insane talent around him.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah, Jamarcus
very
Russell
good
might
point.
finally he might lose his crown finally, man. But no,
The crown that no one wants to have.
yeah, him and Ryan Leaf, dude. Yeah, they're gonna get bumped down, and Caleb Williams is gonna skyrocket to the top, man. And they built a hell of a team around that kid, and he's very talented, very athletic, has a great arm and everything else.
And
Has
kudos to
maturity
the Bears
issues, etc.
organization for
But
doing that.
yes,
They
kudos to
they
them. And
learned from the Justin Fields experiment that they messed
well, I
up.
mean, the freaking Bears haven't had a quarterback like their most passing yards in career for a quarterback is like 25,000 yards. So
Hey,
they're trying
don't
to
forget
figure
about
out the
Cutlass, man.
quarterback.
Don't forget about Cutlass. He
No,
took
I
him.
haven't forgot about Cutlass. Yeah, old freaking Mr. Interception. Good lord. Uh,
uh,
but no, the same thing with the Titans, man. I like what the Titans are doing. Nobody wants to go play for the Titans right now. Let's be honest.
they don't.
They lose Derrick Henry, but they had Tajay Spears, and then they had Tony Pollard. They get these veteran receivers. They're veterans, yeah, they're old as shit, but they're veterans. They're coming in to give him those security blankets that veteran leadership that Will Levis needs. Really revamp that offensive line. Their offensive line was
Yeah.
garbage last year, and they really went in all in on the defensive line. And honestly, their defense has really come together. They've added a lot of pieces that people may not see as being a big deal, but I think they will down the road start to make a name for themselves defensively. But I like what the Titans are doing. However, I don't think they're going to beat the Bears. I just don't.
Yeah. I
But
just
I
want to put
like what
this
the
out there.
Titans are doing.
Get my man Jeffrey Simmons out of Tennessee, man. Get my man out.
Yeah, and then they drafted Tavondre Sweat. I was like, dang, dude. Yeah. Oh man,
uh,
but yeah, no, that's my input on that game.
for me, betting this game is I feel like this is a bait line. Bears -4. That if once again Caleb Williams is the Jesus that he is, that everyone claims that he is, that line is super low. I mean, super low. Because by looking at the teams on paper, once again, I know we use this a lot during this podcast, but they should beat them by 14. For me, if I was betting, I don't like the QB matchup. I'm not touching it, but I would take the Bears -4. Moving on to the Patriots and the Bengals. A little bit of a comeback season for the Bengals. I think the Patriots are in such a weird, weird spot. They got
Yeah.
Gerard Mayo, which is awesome. Hats off. I love Mayo as their head coach. Love him. Dope. No way since he even thinks about having this a close game in my eyes. Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow has something to prove this year. He went to the Super Bowl. They didn't make the playoffs, and now we're here. You still have crazy talent on offense. You lost Joe Mixon. Who's a running back in Cincy?
Uh, Zach Moss.
Okay. Give or take on Zach Moss. Yeah, he played well when Jonathan Taylor was out, but
They still
I'm
got
not a
Chase
big
Brown, but I don't know if they're going to use Chase Brown.
true, very true. Offensive line isn't terrible. Joe Burrow, I don't think will be running for his life like he did 2 seasons ago. The line wasn't terrible last year, and you have another year to gel. So I think they might be all right on the offensive line. Might be able to more cohesive together. There's not much to say about the Patriots. I mean, do you have anything to say about the Patriots? First year without Bill Belly, obviously. It's definitely going to be weird not seeing him on the sideline. But they're not starting Drake May, which I actually am not mad at. I know a lot of Patriots fans are pissed that he's not starting, but to me, I like the fact that they're not just throwing him to the wolves and saying, we drafted you, you're playing. I like that. I like that a lot. But what's your thoughts with these two teams and where they're at? Is this a prove it year for Cincy? Is Cincy's head coach potentially on the hot seat after with this season? Like, hey man, we went to the Super Bowl and then you had a complete lackluster season. What are you gonna do?
Oh man, real quick with the Patriots. Yeah, that's just a floundering team right now. I mean, they're trying to build that defense back. Their offensive line's trash. Big Mike's the lone exception in that, but they don't have any receivers that have really proven anything. Ramondre Stevenson is a heck of a running back. So there is that. They added Antonio Gibson, but offensively, the Patriots are just a they're just a sad team. So that's all I got to say about the Patriots. But Bengals, obviously, Joe Burrow, his health. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to get through the season to give Cincinnati that opportunity to make a run? Um, Zach Moss, solid running back. They have a great receiving core. I mean, I mean, they have a really, really good receiving core. You add Mike Gesicki to that. Offensive line, like you said, really revamped. They drafted
Marius
Amarius
Mims.
Mims just out of a luxury, you know. Like, I mean, god dang, dude. The Bengals, if Joe Burrow stays healthy and can recapture that form from years past in his career, Bengals are gonna make a lot of noise, man, and I don't think they will have a single problem with stomping the shit out of the Patriots. I just
Yeah.
don't. Like you said, I don't even think they keep it a close game.
I agree with that 100%. That's another one of those games that's kind of down on the radar for this weekend. Just because I don't think it's a contest. There's not really any like, oh man, I really want to watch how this pans out type deal because just where the Patriots are as a team, they're just not competitive. In my eyes. I mean, if they play Pittsburgh, it'll be competitive because Mike Tomlin plays down to every terrible team that there is in the league. But for the Bengals, I think Cincy minus the 8.5, they slam that out of the park. This game could be ugly, and Patriots fans should be thankful that it's not in Foxborough because it'd be a disappointing driving home at 4 o'clock after your team just got stomped on. Moving on to another big 1 o'clock game that we actually talked before we jumped on the podcast here. Exciting Texans and Colts.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you take it away on this game. I know where we're both at. two young quarterbacks. CJ Stroud did the damn thing. Everyone knows how I feel about Ohio State quarterbacks. I don't give praise to them. I think they're terrible, but I give kudos to CJ for what he did last year. He went crazy. And on the other hand, you got a quarterback that was doing the damn thing and then he got hurt. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let you take it away. I want to hear your thoughts on this game, this matchup in Indianapolis. May mention that. One of the loudest stadiums because they pipe in noise and they turn the decimals.
Lame. Um, so with Indy, man, I want to see Anthony Richardson be healthy, and I want to see how he is throwing the ball after having the shoulder injury and that, because I don't want to. I was afraid that it'd be like a Cam Newton deal where he had the shoulder injury, he's not going to be the same. So I'm hoping that he goes out there and he's throwing it like he was last year prior to the injury. I'd like to see him take less unnecessary hits. I mean, come on, man. Like, I hate to compare the guy to Cam Newton just because Cam was an MVP, blah blah blah. But I mean, that's very similar to what happened to Cam. Was Cam just the injuries started piling up because I mean, the dude's getting leveled every freaking play. I don't care how big you are, but he's getting hit a lot. They have a very solid receiving core. Losing Jelani Woods at tight end really sucks. I was really hoping for a breakout year for him because I really like him, but he's out for the season. But Jonathan Taylor, man, I want to see that old school Jonathan Taylor, like just getting these breakaway runs, man, and just taking off for 60 yards. Like that's what I want. The Colts are getting their defense. They're starting to get their defense right. So it's just a young team that's trying to piece it all together. And you got the Texans, man. The Texans, they just have an embarrassment of riches. Like honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
they had like John Mechie's like not even on the depth chart now because they got Stephon Diggs, they got Nico Collins, you know, like they had all these freaking
Tank Dell. I mean, it's
Tank
just
Dell, yeah, like
endless.
just endless. Yeah,
Joe Mixon.
yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches, which that was a terrible contract.
Yeah.
Pause. Side note, but yeah, that was a terrible contract, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Hopefully, I'm wrong because I do like Joe Mixon. But I mean, dude, really,
Even if he is shooting at little kids.
yeah, I don't get that whole deal either. That was weird. That's some Aqib Talib shit. But no, Dalton Schultz, like the pecking order. If you're doing fantasy and like you're going after a Texans like receiver or something, like good luck. You know, like there's gonna be hit or miss every week. But great offensive line, defense is really coming together. I mean, hats off to D'Amico Ryans, man. He's getting that Texans team where it needs to be, and then of course C.J. Stroud. I mean, come on, man. The way he played last year, if he can build off of that, that was one of the best rookie seasons I've personally have ever seen from a quarterback. I know that's a big, you know, a big claim to make, but last year he was just sensational, and Will Anderson too on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they have a lot to work with with the Texans, but I do think that they do pull this one out. I think they do beat the Colts because I don't think the Colts are quite there yet, and the Texans are just so damn good. So I'm gonna roll with the roll with the Texans in this one.
Yeah. I mean, every point that you made all makes. Uh, I just the Texans team is just they it's got firepower. Let's just say that on the offensive side of things, the firepower is there. They shouldn't go backwards by any means. CJ Stroud should only excel more. Defensively, I think that they kind of in the same spot defensively as they were last season, which could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing because there was a couple games where you're just like, damn, where'd the defense go? One week they show up, next week they didn't. The Colts, I think the downside of the Colts team is the defense. I think that their defense obviously is their weak link, and it puts a lot of pressure on the offense to score points. It's kind of like the Detroit Lions. You got to score 31 points, and the other team has to score 30. And I think that's kind of where the Colts are in this situation. But I agree with you 100% that I just think it's going to be too much for the Colts to withstand from the Texans. And the Texans only favored by 3 points. I'm hammering that line. Just because the Colts
Oh yeah.
defense isn't that great, and we don't know what AR is going to be like after coming back after this injury. It's one of them things where I knock on wood, I love Anthony Richardson, but it could be one of them things where, like you said, Cam Newton effect, where he just doesn't look good. He can't get the ball downfield. He can't make them plays that he's used to making. So let's hope that's not the case, and let's hope for an amazing game. But with two young quarterbacks, that could be the quarterbacks we're talking about, kind of like the Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning era, and Philip Rivers, where we have these quarterbacks that are just it's that rivalry between those two quarterbacks that goes on for years to come. What do we got next? We got the Jaguars and Dolphins.
Yeah.
Um, Dolphins are the Dolphins. They're gonna go as far as Tua will take them. Uh, Dolphins love watching them. I'm just gonna say that they're just the stuff that McDaniel's comes up with is just nuts. With you got Jalen Waddle, you got Tyreek Hill, you got a healthy Jalen Waddle. Let me throw that out there. I mean, Raheem Mostert, A Chain. I think A Chain's gonna be more of the feature back this year, so hopefully he can stay healthy. Um, I think this could be a very good game, depending on pressure from the Jaguars defense and how the Jaguars defense matches up against Dolphins. The Jaguars cannot let Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle get behind them. They just can't. Because it's going to be a long day if that happens. Cornerbacks on the defensive side for Jacksonville, how are they looking?
They're solid. Yeah, they're solid. I like Tyson Campbell. I think he's one of the young and up and coming uh corners in the league. He played really well last year, and I think that he can continue to build on that. I think he's going to be one of the not big name cornerbacks in the league, but he's really good.
I mean, obviously they have J.A., the other Josh Allen, who he changed his name actually. I forget what he changed it to, but um, very could be one of them games where it's surprising. Like everyone thinks that Dolphins should come out and it's a high octane 300, 400 yards of offense that we're accustomed to with them. Um, or they could come out and lay an egg and uh, the Jaguars shock them and win this game. This is a big year for Trevor Lawrence, I think. Uh,
Yes.
he's he's got to do something. He's been that like middle of the road, subpar, like shows flashes type of guy, but I think T Law is got to show why he was drafted where he was drafted, and he's got to live up to the hype, man, because it might be time to move on from T Law. Like I said, he's been a very like up and down type of player. What's your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence, and what do you expect to see out of him this season?
I'm kind of the same boat as you, man. I don't one day you get Trevor Lawrence that looks like he's going to be MVP, and then the next week, I mean, he can't complete a damn pass. He's thrown like 3 interceptions. You never know what you're going to get with him. There is zero consistency. He's such a hard guy. Like if you're doing fantasy or something, like he's such a hard guy to like really get a gauge on to see if he's going to do like, do I start freaking this guy or do I start Trevor Lawrence? He's one of them
Right.
guys. So it's really difficult to really say how he's going to do this year because I don't want to guess because I'll be honest with you, I don't know what they're getting from him. I mean,
Yes.
they added weapons around him, like the Brian Thomas thing. I love Brian Thomas. I love that pick. They got Gabe Davis, you know what I mean? And obviously they got Ingram and Christian Kirk still. So they're putting pieces around him. ETN's in the backfield. Like I want to see him flourish and do really well because I am a T-Law fan. But man, he's just so damn inconsistent. I don't know what you're gonna get with him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I have such high hopes for it too, man. Every year I'm like, all right, this is the year. This is the year. And it just he's not even in the equation of the top 5 in the league. He's just not. Um, Obviously, they still have Travis Etienne, who is just an absolute stud. Love Etienne. Um, it's just to
Yeah.
now. So it's very wishy washy with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I don't see McDaniel's coming out, and especially Tua coming out laying an egg. We're talking about Florida weather, exactly what the Dolphins want, exactly what the Dolphins want to play in, and I think we're going to see some motions and getting Tyreek out in the open and Jalen Waddle, and I don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Miami Dolphins for that sake, and I think Miami does cover the 3.5 on the spread. You kind of in the same boat on the and Dolphins winning this game?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm I'm 100% on board with that. I think that the Dolphins offense just, I mean, they just have so much firepower. Their defense has a lot of injuries, but offensively,
Again,
they're just,
again.
again, yeah, exactly. They just can't catch a damn break on defense. But yeah, man, I think they go as far as Tua takes them, like you said, and um, I don't know, like if they get to the playoffs, which they should, uh, I'm taking my team to Antarctica, dude, and we're freaking practicing. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely,
like it's bullshit.
absolutely.
Yeah, like you guys look soft because you're from Florida. You're a Florida team. It's hot weather, you know, and Tua played at Bama and blah blah blah. So you gotta shake that, dude. You gotta show them like, yeah, I can come out here in this cold weather and frickin', you know, put up numbers and beat your ass. Like that's the Dolphins' biggest hurdle because everybody's thinking with the Dolphins playoffs or Super Bowl. You know, like
Yes,
nobody's thinking like, oh, are we gonna make the playoffs? It's like, no, we're expecting to go there, but we need to do something when we get there. So
yes, exactly.
that's the big thing with the Dolphins. They have the talent. I mean, they
100%.
drafted Jalen Wright, like running back. Like, I love Jalen Wright. Like, they didn't even need him. You know, they didn't even need the dude. And I'm like, there you go. There's another another one. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
they just have an embarrassment of riches, man. They just need to freaking win when it matters, when it's cold.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Honestly, I could not agree more with that because we know the Dolphins are going to be in the playoffs. I mean, well, let's be. I shouldn't have said that, but we assume the Dolphins are going to be in the playoffs.
Should be.
And let's be honest, your AFC teams that are typically in the playoffs: Chiefs, it's cold; Buffalo, it's cold; Pittsburgh,
Yep.
it's cold; Baltimore,
Baltimore.
it's cold.
Cold.
I mean,
New,
unless you get
New
that number
England. No,
one
I'm kidding.
seed, unless you get that number one seed, dog. I mean, you're not playing in your home stadium.
Yeah, Cincinnati. Cold.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
Yeah, dude, like you gotta shake that stigma of being a warm weather team that can't win in the cold. Like you gotta shake that shit.
yep, I couldn't agree more. Another lackluster game of the slate, but I'm actually excited for it. I'm not gonna watch. Obviously, there's too many 1 o'clock games on. I do have Sunday ticket, but it's a game that I'm gonna pay attention to, maybe on my phone, catch it, like stats, highlights, whatever it may be. It's the Panthers and the Saints. Sophomore year for Bryce. I still think the Panthers are in trouble. Bryce is my boy, Bama product. I
Yep.
know it pains me to say that I hate saying that Bama quarterbacks are garbage, but let's be honest, a lot of them typically are. And
Yeah, Mac Jones.
yeah, Mac Jones. I'm claiming Jalen Hurts. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if he transferred. But Bryce has to pick his head up and do Bryce things that he did in college. I know the offense isn't the star-studded Caleb Williams offense by any stretch of the means, but did they get him any help on the offensive line? Because the man was running for his life last
They did. Yeah, they
year. Okay,
added some pieces to their offensive line, thank God.
and especially a Saints team who always is a very good pass rushing team. Um, it just seems like the Saints are very like under the radar pass rushers, and they do very well. So Saints, Panthers in New Orleans. I think Bryce has to take the game as it comes and don't try to do too much. I think that's the big thing with Bryce. And I think that's what he tried to do too much last year, and that's where he got in trouble. And it's not like they have the greatest run game or the greatest receivers or the greatest offensive line last year. But I think that if Bryce just takes what the game is giving him, I think that we're having a different conversation in 10 weeks saying, "Okay, this is the Bryce that everyone thought we were going to get." Compared to last year, man, Bryce Young is terrible. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%, man. There's not many people like I want to see like everybody succeed, but I really want to see Bryce Young succeed just because I was such a big fan of his, in college,
Yes.
and I just really like him. He's a down to earth guy. He's a cool dude. Like, I mean, he didn't let the freaking money and stuff from the NIL go to his head or anything. I mean, he's just Bryce Young, and I just want to see him succeed. And they've tried to add some stuff around him. They got Deontay Johnson. They got Leggett, Mingo, Adam Thielen. It's just getting consistency on that offense. Jatavian Sanders, getting consistency on that offense, man, and trying to get it to click because their defense. I mean, they traded Brian Burns, was your best player probably on your whole team. Like their defense is just very lackluster, man. I mean, if the offense does start to click and they start to put up some points or make some noise, the defense is just gonna get
Hold
burnt,
him
I
back.
think.
Yeah, hold him back. I
Yeah, but
agree.
I would just like any progress from Carolina. Forward progress is good progress in my opinion. But and then New
Yeah, no
Orleans,
one's expecting them to go to the Super Bowl. Let's be honest.
no, that's what I was about to say about New Orleans. Like nobody's expecting New Orleans to really do much. I mean, they're gonna have Derek Carr in there. He's gonna get hot, and they're gonna sub him out for Taysom Hill. He's gonna come in and throw a pick. Like we've seen this 1,000 times. You know what I mean? It's boring. It's like, dude, we get it, bro. It's like I don't know what y'all are doing. Chris Olave is over there wanting to fucking blow his head off. Like, come on, man. New Orleans is that's another team that's just. I mean, they're
They're
not
in a
the
weird
Giants
state.
or anything, but
They're in a
they're
weird
fucking
state.
soft.
Yeah, they're in
I
a
dropped
weird.
the F bomb.
They're
My bad.
Oh, you're good. They're in a very weird state. The New Orleans is a very weird state. But like they're like kind of rebuilding, but they're not rebuilding. So
Yeah, they're just like they're just
treading water.
pretty much. Yeah, they just haven't really. They've added pieces, but like there's no like rhyme or reason to any of it. You
Right.
know,
You got
like
Kamara over
it's
there
weird.
just trying to figure out why his career's going away. You have Olave, that another standout receiver that's just like, bro, please, like, help me. Like,
Yeah, goddamn Kool-Aid goes there. I'm like, dude, like, come on. I don't know,
it,
man.
it's the game's very lackluster, but I think it's just more of the Bama fan in me that really wants to see Bryce succeed, and hopefully he turns around his sophomore year. As
Yeah.
far as the spread, New Orleans -4. If I had to bet over under 41.5, that's a low number, but two offenses that aren't really high powered. I'm probably going to take New Orleans to win this game by a touchdown, like a 21-14 game, something like that, somewhere in the lines of that. Another lackluster game, just for the sheer fact of a major injury, a season-ending injury, that is, and that's Vikings versus Giants. You said it just a minute ago. The Giants suck. The Giants suck. I'm sorry, Rob, aka Out of Controllers. The Giants suck. They
Yep.
lost Saquon. They got Danny Dimes, who is an absolute bum. And then you go and you draft receivers like that's what your team needs. have Malik Neighbors, wasted talent. You have Jalen Hyatt, who they drafted last year, wasted talent. Wandell Robinson, wasted talent. It just goes on. Get free these people, please, man. Brian Burns goes there. Dexter Lawrence. I mean, I don't understand. That
That's a
team
sorry ass
sucks.
team.
That team sucks. They are going to be the worst team in the NFL. I don't care what anyone says. They're the worst team in the NFL. They are garbage. That team is an absolute dumpster fire. Bring that tomato-faced coach back, because at least they could win football games with him.
Dude. They got Vanilla Vic back, dude. They're gonna fucking freaking God dang it. They got Vanilla Vic, man. Vanilla Vic's gonna come back, dude. He's gonna be running all over everyone.
Yeah, he's also
Daniel
gonna
Jones,
tackle
dude.
himself on the 3-yard line after a breakaway run for 80 yards.
That was funny. That was so sad. I was like, that sums up your career right there, dude.
The Daniel Jones experiment, it has to end this year. Unless this dude comes out and has an MVP season, there's no way, in my eyes, they continue with the Daniel Jones experiment. It's not possible. I mean, I don't think it is.
That team's just sorry, man. Like, honestly, like you said, they've added all this talent and stuff, and they just piss it away, or they trade it away, or I mean, they've done it for years now. You know, they signed this bum, Daniel Jones. What was the figure? Do you remember? It was something ridiculous.
Extension, I can look it up.
$160 million for 4 years.
Yes.
$160 million for 4 years for a dude that, quite honestly, outside of his rushing ability, hasn't done anything spectacular.
Brother, I just can't get over the receiving core that this man has. Jalen Hyatt was literally supposed to be like this receiver that like is just amazing. He's shifty, he's fast, he's everything. This dude didn't even register last year.
This team made Darren Waller retire.
We're talking about Darren Waller, who, when he was in Vegas with the atrocious quarterback play he had there, retired from the NFL because this team sucks.
It's so bad whenever, I hate to keep hammering this dude, but I mean, he deserves it, but it's so bad whenever Giants fans are like, can we put in Tommy DeVito? Are you freaking kidding me? Let's put in Tommy DeVito. Like, come on, bro. And then they got Drew Lock. Like, that's going to fix their problem. He's another one. He's a bum. Yeah, you know, I'm just like, dude, why didn't you go sign like Tyrod Taylor or something? Like, go try and sign somebody that may help you win a game.
I'm
Malik Neighbors, dude.
I'm going to put something on the stream. Jalen Hyatt. I'm putting it on the stream. Please look at this man's season totals from last year. 40 targets, 23 receptions, 373 yards receiving. This guy is a take the top off the defense type of guy. Listen, ESPN's latest video of Jalen Hyatt is his 61-yard touchdown from Tennessee. It isn't even an NFL highlight.
No. Because you can't find one.
R.I.P. Jalen Hyatt. R.I.P. Malik Neighbors. Like, I'm sorry, but this team's trash. We haven't even talked about the game. We haven't even got to the Vikings. We're over here trashing the Giants. But this team sucks. Like, if you walk outside any facility and you see a blue bin dumpster, you know why it's blue? Because it's representing the Giants. They're trash. They're absolutely trash. I'm
Danny,
sorry. I'm sorry, any Giants fans, but they're
Daniel
trash.
Jones just catching strays. Vanilla Vic.
The Vikings, JJ
All right, on to the
McCarthy,
Vikings.
big injury, season-ending injury, which he was looking great in the preseason, and it's unfortunate that he goes down. Justin Jefferson. It's a Maserati sitting next to a trailer. I feel so bad for him and Jordan Addison. The Vikings had what looked to be promise completely ripped from their fingers. Their starting quarterback is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold.
Yep. The guy who sees goes.
He's more than that. He doesn't see the defense. I can tell you that. They went and got Aaron Jones. I mean, I was excited for this Vikings team. I was like, man, JJ might come out and ball out. I know there's a lot of question being in that Michigan offense, but he had the weapons to ball out, especially Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I mean, the list goes on. Now we got Sam Darnold.
Really good offensive line.
Yes. Very
Probably
good
the two
offensive line.
best bookend tackles, arguably, in the league. Except for maybe like Decker and Sewell or whatever. But
Right, yeah.
underrated wise, Deshaun, Brian O'Neill, dude, come on.
It sucks for the Vikings and the Vikings fans. I feel for you. Kurt Duggan's leaving, which I can't blame the man. The man's robbing teams of longevity contracts with tons of money. Never won anything in his life. Defensively, on the defense side of the ball, I mean, it's not terrible.
No, they're solid. They got a solid defense.
But man, the way this team looked with Aaron Jones, like, you have a running back workhorse. You have arguably the best receiver in the league. You have Jordan Addison because they can't double team both of them. I mean, oh man, JJ McCarthy was set up for success, and unfortunately, we got to wait for a sophomore year. If JJ McCarthy was playing, this would be a more of a let me check out and see what's going on with the Vikings game type deal, but he's not. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Nick Mullins become the quarterback at some point in this offense. I honestly am surprised that the Vikings didn't reach out, and Pittsburgh didn't reach out even. Try and get some picks for Russ. Send him over to Minnesota. Puts him in a good position. Let Justin Fields just run for 1,000 yards along with Najee Harris and call it a day. Get some picks for Russ. But, hey, it is what it is. You never know what's going to happen. It could happen down the line. And if it did happen, you heard it here first. I'm just putting that out there. Russell Wilson to the Vikings.
Shoot.
Vikings 1.5 favorites. Bro, this game might end up a tie.
Vikings are winning, dude. Giants
Vikings,
are garbage. I'm sorry.
they
If the
are
Vikings
ass.
lose to the Giants, dude, if the Giants don't go 0-17 this year, I'll be shocked. That team is. I don't know how they won a game last year. I don't.
Well, I'm going to say this: Pittsburgh does play the Giants on a Monday Night Football game, 8:15. So I'll be screaming whenever the Pittsburgh Steelers lose to the New York Giants. Just throwing that out there.
No, I don't blame you. I don't know what I would do. Yeah, like if the Ravens lost to the Vikings, I don't know what I would do. I don't. Usually, I'm like mad the next day after a loss, but don't come near me that next day.
Yeah.
Don't. Because the Giants are junk.
So, Minnesota still has Justin Jefferson. I don't see his production dropping. I mean, he may not go crazy, but whoever's at quarterback's going to throw the ball up and he's going to get it. So I'm taking the Vikings. It's a no-brainer, I think. But Daniel Jones might come out and ball out. I'm just kidding. The Giants suck. Vikings take it all day. um, Raiders Chargers. Raiders Chargers. Got Harbaugh.
The Chargers.
Got Harbaugh. And if anyone is going to get Justin Herbert to the potential that everyone thought he was going to be, it is going to be Harbaugh. And I said it when we did our draft podcast that Justin Herbert's a top 5 quarterback this year, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm with you. That's my dude, man. I rock with Justin Herbert. I know he gets a lot of shit, but
yeah, I love Justin
rock
Herbert.
with Justin
I really
Herbert.
do. I really do.
I do too. Big fan.
The Chargers decided that the Baltimore Ravens running back committee was so great that they're just going to take all of them, and they got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, good luck getting a full season out of either one of them.
That's why they got two.
I love Gus and J.K.
One plays half, and the other plays the other half. That's why they got.
Dude, I can't even say. I love them both, man. I truly do. But god dang, it was frustrating.
Receiver wise, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Justin Herbert got some weapons. If Quentin Johnson can get his head out of his ass. But they got Palmer, they got Ladd McConkey, he got Quentin Johnson, he got DJ Chark. Don't get me started on him. We went on a rant about him last year. And they got the man they drafted this year holding Justin Herbert down, that big boy Joe Alt.
Yeah.
Obviously, defensive side of things isn't a ton of change. You got the ageless wonder in Khalil Mack. You got Asante Samuel Jr., you got Derwin James, Joey Bosa. The Chargers, I think, are in a decent spot, a pretty good spot. Offensively, I think they're fine. As long as the offense clicks, receivers play to their potential, I think that they really, honestly, could make some noise, honestly. That's my personal opinion. I think, like I said, Harbaugh's going to get the absolute best out of Herbert as long as he stays healthy. But what do you expect out of the Chargers this year? We talking playoffs? We talking about, I don't know if I want to say it, championship game? Are we talking a subpar, like, okay, first year, they're going to come up on fire next year? Are we talking like they're middle of the pack type team that just misses out on the playoffs and getting in, and it's a good stepping stone for Harbaugh on his first year back in the
NFL? Man, the Chargers have, for years, I mean, this goes back.
We've talked about this so many times.
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
So many awesome teams that they've built and put together, and for one reason or another, it doesn't work out. But lately, it's been that damn injury bug, dude. They just cannot stay healthy. Joey Bosa is Mr. Glass. Freaking Khalil Mack, he's been banged up the past few years. Obviously, what we just said about J.K. and Gus, I mean, injuries, man. That's the Chargers' downfall. Justin Herbert, he had that rib injury last year, and then he has right now he's dealing with plantar fasciitis. So, and he's a mobile quarterback.
I deal with that. That shit ain't no joke.
No, it's not. That shit sucks. It's very painful. And that's kind of where I'm at with the Chargers. Is it's like, can they stay healthy? If they stay healthy, I think that with the talent that they have around them, like you said with Quentin Johnston, it's whatever. I mean, when he came out, I was like, this dude's going to be either really good, but he reminds me of Kevin White. And right now he's looking like Kevin White. But DJ Chark, he's dealing with an injury. But I do like a guy that they drafted, Brendan Rice. I do like him. I think he has a lot of potential. I don't know how many snaps he's going to see this year. But I would like to see him kind of get worked in the offense if Quentin Johnston doesn't, ball out, if DJ Chark's still dealing with the injury, et cetera, et cetera. But all in all, I think if they're healthy, I think the Chargers are a team that I could see making it to the playoffs. I don't know if they're a championship type of team, but I can see Harbaugh really getting this team into gear.
I agree. I buy that. On to the Las Vegas Raiders. Same game, obviously. Um, does Minshew mania rise again, or is Devonte Adams slamming his helmet off the ground, cussing out everyone in the sun because he's not getting the ball? That's the question. I mean, they went and got Brock Bowers, dog of a tight end. You got
Yeah,
Devontae,
they put him with
obviously.
Michael Mayer, dude. Like, come on.
Right. Which is kind of crazy
Really
if you
good
think
tight
about
end.
it. Like, this is what Bill Belichick was trying to do when he went and got all those tight ends, and it just didn't pan out. Like,
Yeah.
you literally have Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. Two of, like, the best tight ends in the last, I mean, arguably the best tight ends to come out of in the last 2 years of drafts. I mean, it's kind of scary. I mean, to me, Brock Bowers showed that he can line up anywhere. So you almost have to run Michael Mayer uh at the tight end position and let Brock kind of roam in the slot on the outside. And they have Brock Bowers as the starting tight end on their depth chart, surprisingly, which I'm actually kind of shocked by that. But I mean, who's to say that doesn't change?
Yeah. Yeah.
Defensively, they got my boy Divine Diablo, who is absolute lightning. That dude is so fast. Um, Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson, C. Wilk. They have some pieces on the defensive side of the ball, but nothing that I'm like, man, this Raiders team, this might be it. Especially when it boils down to it, that running or that quarterback position, you're kind of just like,
Ugh,
what is
yeah.
the offense gonna do? I mean, Gardner Minshew's the quarterback. His string of luck, I think, is gone. Uh, and I just it's another one of them teams that's in a very weird spot. I feel bad for Devonte Adams just for the sheer fact that he is such a star-studded talent that you've seen and you grew to just watch every year. Just Devonte Adams, he's balling, and now you're just like, bro, he's withering away to nothing. Like, hey, Pittsburgh, Omar, reach out, bro. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Chargers might be looking to move him. Him and GP. Him and GP. But hey, I, this game is I'm more on the Chargers just for the sheer fact of it's a fresh start for Herbert. And I think that this is gonna be the year that Herbert is exactly what everyone thought he was gonna be. And we've said that about a couple people, but I truly think that Herbert really excels this year, and with Harbaugh's mindset and just beating into his head, like, listen, keep your head up, man. It's been a couple years, it's been struggle, injury prone. We're gonna get through this, and you're gonna ball out. As far as winning the game, I don't see the Chargers losing.
No, I don't see the Chargers losing either.
I just I just don't see it. I nah. I think Chargers take this game. Uh, that's the first 4 o'clock game. The next game, I just the Broncos.
Huh.
Broncos in Seattle. Obviously, Russell Wilson project is over in Denver. Tom Payton's over it. But man, I tell you what, I've always liked Oregon, and I've only liked Oregon because of their uniforms. Bo Nix is a starter. And Bo Nix looked good in preseason. Like I said, preseason, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But is Bo Nix exactly what Sean Payton was looking for? A quarterback that didn't have a reputation, that didn't have a resume, that didn't have anything. Is this the answer for Denver? What's your thoughts with Denver?
Denver's kind of similar to the Chargers in my opinion, man. They injuries have been a big problem for the Chargers over the years with Javonte Williams and Cortland Sutton and a few guys on the offensive line. Um, I think Bo Nix gives them an element to the offense. I mean, he's a very experienced rookie. I mean, the dude's like 26 years old, but
Right.
he's played a lot of football, and he's he's a dual threat, and he has a very good arm. He doesn't have that elite arm. He doesn't have that throw it on a rope deal, but he can make all the throws. He has a strong enough arm. So I think he has a lot of potential. I think that he's got some pieces around him that he can really work with. I'm hoping Javonte Williams and McLaughlin can kind of get the ball rolling with the running game, and Javonte gets back to being fully healthy another year off of that injury that he had. So, man, the Broncos they're rebuilding. They just re-signed PS2 to a big contract.
96 million.
Yeah, he got paid, and he deserves it. That's my dude.
I was
Roll
gonna
Tide.
say PS2 deserves every dime of it because he has been the only one of the only bright sides to that defense. Well, I say that and I shouldn't say that because that defense was really young and like they were playing outstanding, especially after trading Chubb over to Miami. They were playing lights out, but let's be honest. PS2, boy, PS2 got paid and he deserved every bit of it.
That's right. I want to see them use Marvin Mims a little more.
Yes.
He's explosive, man. He played really well last year. Played really well in the return game. I think he's one of those guys. If you get the ball in his hands, I think that he can make some stuff happen. I think that he's one of those guys that they need to try and bring him up. They have Josh Reynolds, who's kind of a middle of the pack guy. He's not great, but he's okay at what he does. And they drafted Troy Franklin, who played.
Oh, hang on one second. Let me get Steven back in. Drop the call. 1 second. 1 second. I apologize about that.
Hit that 2 hour mark.
Hit that 2 hour mark. Yep. Drop the call. As you're saying, Troy Franklin.
Played with Bo Nix at Oregon, so they have that rapport. So I think
Yes.
it'll help him kind of like settle in. But nobody has any really large expectations for the Broncos, which I think is good for that team,
They
but
don't have the
also for
weight
the
on their
fans.
shoulders. Yes.
Yeah, they don't have the weight on their shoulders to think that they have to come out and like if we're Super Bowl bound, we're almost playoff bound, and they may very well find a way to sneak into the playoffs in a wild card or something. That's a possibility, but I think right now they're just rebuilding, and I think expectations are kind of tapered with the Broncos.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And another thing I want to touch base on the Troy Franklin draft. I think that is such a brilliant move on Denver's part to bring in someone that you drafted that has played with Bo Nix, that they have that they're very familiar with each other. So I think that's a kind of like a safety blanket in a sense for someone like a rookie quarterback that's getting put in week one for Bo Nix getting Troy Franklin. And let's be honest, Troy Franklin had an outstanding career in college. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like he was just some Oregon receiver that they were like, hey, he played with him. Let's just go get him. Nah, Troy Franklin can excel on any team, but to be plugged in with the quarterback that he's played with I think, is a brilliant move on the Broncos' part. Um, Seattle. This is another team that is very like they go on strides and they go on runs and they string together some wins, and you're just like, man, this team is legit. This team's
yeah,
got it.
I
And
really like
then
Seattle.
they just fall to pieces.
Yep,
And offensively, the Achilles heel is the quarterback, Geno Smith. And I like Gino. I have nothing against Gino. I love that
Yeah,
Gino kind of revitalized himself in Seattle and is doing a damn thing. And I really like the fact that they got Sam Howell. Sam Howell needed that fresh start. He needed that like get me out of here and let
I'm glad
me
you said that. Yeah.
sit. Let me develop my football IQ in a sense.
Yes. Yes.
And behind someone like Gino, who honestly, if you think about it, Gino kind of went down the path that Sam Howell did. Gino, I mean, Gino was never. Sam Howell was more expected. Like this dude is the future. He is our guy. He is this. Gino really wasn't that guy at the beginning of his career, but it's the same scenario. Whenever Gino went in, everyone's like, "Oh, he's a bum. Get him out of here." He goes to Seattle, finds a new home, revitalizes his career, and Gino's balled out because Gino has played very well for Seattle. And I think that could really benefit someone like Sam Howell. And I like what Seattle's organization did with that. On the offensive side of things, I mean, you have Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, two outstanding running backs.
Yeah.
Receivers, you're stacked up. DK, Tyler, JSN. I mean, Noah Fant. The offense is weapons is great. Charlie Cross isn't the best, but he's a very good, very, very good tackle. You got
Yeah.
Lakin
Fair.
Tomlinson. You have George Fant on the opposite side, on the right side. George Fant, he's played well. He's played very well. But he does, I mean, let's be honest, TJ Watt kind of exposed him last year and
That doesn't even count. Come on.
cost Seattle the game. Cost Seattle
He
the
exposes
game.
everyone, dude. Unless you're playing
no,
the Chiefs and they just hold the shit out of him.
I had to throw that down. I had to throw that down. And then
Uh,
defensively, like their defense ain't bad, dog. Especially at the corner position. You got
Man, they
Reek,
got a Byron
Devon.
Murphy in the draft. Oh,
Yeah, I was just about to say Byron Murphy. Like, man,
Derek Hall, dude, freaking fast as hell. Yeah, man.
the
Seattle's got a
team.
squad.
Yeah, they do. They have a squad. They've been consistent. That's the word I'm looking for. They've been a very consistent team, and I think Seattle could maybe sneak in as long as Gino carries them. No stupid turnovers, no stupid mistakes, no brain dead moves. Like, I think that Seattle is one of them teams that could be very under the radar because no one expects them. Like, oh, Seattle's the Legion of Boom days where Seattle's going to the Super Bowl or Seattle's winning the division. They're very under the radar. People expect them to win, but they also, if they don't win, they're not like, I can't believe they didn't win. So it plays benefit to Seattle in my eyes.
Yeah, they're definitely one of those teams where it's like like just because of Gino, it makes you temper your expectations, but at the same time, you're like, man, you are like one Geno Smith locked in, like, because he does lock in at times, and then other times he just, goes off a little bit. But man, you're like, man, this is like a legit playoff team, like a
Yes.
team that could possibly push in the playoffs if
You
it,
don't
but
want
that
no
all it
help.
all rides on Geno. Like you said, the defense is outstanding. They've really bolstered that offensive line over the years. They're a young offensive line now and all that, but they bolstered that line. I mean, the receivers, my God, running backs, corners. You get Byron Murphy. Like, are you serious? Like they have a hell of a team over there, and Coach McDonald, that's my boy, man. I didn't want to leave Baltimore, but I'm happy that he got a head coaching gig.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
dude, he's got a lot to work with over there, bro. Especially on the defensive side of the ball and the blitz schemes that he comes up with and stuff, man. Like Boye Mafe, them guys, dude. I can see Seattle's defense making some freaking noise. I really can.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think Denver beats Seattle. Um,
No, I think Seattle wins.
honestly, I think Seattle wins by more than a touchdown. They're favored by 6. I think they win by more than.
I agree with that.
It's one of them things though. Like the Broncos could come out and shock the 12th man and keep this a close game, a nail biter. I don't think that they win, but they could keep it a nail biter, especially with Bo Nix being a rookie quarterback. They don't have film on him. No one, I mean, you don't know what he's going to do. And if they can get that running game going in Denver, Denver might be all right against Seattle.
Absolutely.
Another game that's more on the lackluster side of games as well. Another game that I have high hopes for. Everyone knows I hate Dallas, but Dallas and Browns. CeeDee
Yeah.
Lamb got paid. Dak Prescott, he's out the door if he don't do anything. I think, in my eyes. So I think this is a prove it year for Dak. They're going to light up the scoreboard. I truly believe. But you're playing a defensive team, a very heavily defensive team in the Browns that last year was one of the best defenses in the league until let's say the end of the season, we could say. And they kind of just fell apart. But
Yeah.
a team that wants to light up the scoreboard like Dallas to a very high powered defensive team like the Browns, and not taking anything away from the Browns offense because they do have Deshaun, who we still are waiting for that old Deshaun to come back. And we talked about it. 2 years out of football is rough on anyone. I don't care who it is. But you have Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore. The big one, I think he's going to have another great year. David Njoku, who we both love. Offensive line's pretty fucking solid. I just dropped the F-bomb. That's my bad.
I've dropped two, so you're good.
Defensively, I mean, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Owusu. You got the GOAT, Devin Bush.
That's right.
You got Jordan Hicks, who has played very, very well. But the secondary is where it's insane. Denzel Ward, Delpit, Thornhill, Emerson, Newsome. I mean, you have Rodney on the he's lost by the wayside now, and he's played excellent. But because they brought in, they have Delpit, where does he play? Where you can't start him. You know what I mean? This game could turn out to be one of them. Turn on the Dallas game because this game is insane.
Yep.
And Cleveland is favored, and I think it's just because of home field advantage. And I honestly, truly believe that Cowboys could win this game, especially with Dak performs insane in the regular season. I mean, they put up points, they light up the scoreboard, but I'm excited for this Browns team. I honestly am. And once again, it comes back to it that AFC North, once again, looks like it's going to be the powerhouse of the NFL. Obviously, the lacking part on the offensive side of the ball for the Dallas Cowboys is the running back. They brought back Ezekiel Elliott, but they also got Dalvin Cook, which, if Dalvin Cook can be Dalvin Cook from Minnesota, the run game would be perfectly fine. But it's a big if, because I don't know what happened to that man. I honestly don't. Big blow for Dallas on the defense side of the ball is Deron Bland being on IR.
Yeah. I was going to mention that. And Sam Williams, too.
Yeah. I completely forgot about Sam Williams. So, I don't think Dallas is a Super Bowl team. I know everyone says this is our year, whatever. But I feel that Dallas is going to be, just like they have been the past couple of years, you're going to have your really high moments, and then it's going to fall off the cliff like it always has, and it always will. It's just like the Browns. The Browns, really high moments, and then they crumble. What's your thoughts with Dallas? And, I mean, thoughts on the game and thoughts on both of these teams? What's your perspective? What's your outlook? What are you expecting from either of these teams?
Well, So, quick question. CeeDee Lamb's on the commissioner's exempt list. Do you know why?
What, actually?
Because he might not be able to play on Sunday if he's still on the exempt list. Which there goes the Cowboys' offense, essentially,
It's
right?
very true. Looking up what that means.
I don't know what he did.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, he has a 2-game roster exemption.
Hmm.
Which I'm gonna look it up here. Roster exemption. Dallas placement of the. Okay, so this is saying that it was just a move to count so that he doesn't count towards the 53-man roster.
Oh, okay. Just in case they didn't get the contract done and he held out. Okay.
Yes. And it
Okay,
says
that
that
makes sense.
it's not an indication that he'll miss any action. So I guess that's what that.
Okay, yeah, because Mike McCarthy said that he was ramping up for Sunday, but I was like, oh, if he's on the exempt list, because you can be put on the exempt list for a multitude of different things. So I was just wondering.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't sure about it either, to be honest with you.
Real quick at the Cowboys. Yeah, the Cowboys are like they are what they are who we thought they were. I'm kidding. But no, seriously, the Cowboys they revamped their line. Like they're getting their line right and stuff like that. But receivers obviously got CeeDee Lamb and that good stuff. But man, like the running back situation, like you said, unless Dalvin Cook turns into Minnesota Vikings Dalvin Cook, uh, Zeke's kind of a short yardage guy, which he excels at. He does really good at, but they don't really have a running game. And Dak Prescott has always had a running game for the most part. I mean, at
Yes.
least with Tony Pollard, you had that big play threat, a guy that can you hand the ball off and he's going to go, and he's a guy that you have to watch. But I'll be honest, I don't think people are really sweating Zeke or Rico Dowdle or Dalvin Cook.
Or that piece of shit Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, nobody's sitting there sweating Deuce. You know what I mean? Sweatsuit Deuce. But defensively, they have a good defense, but injuries, man. Sam Williams losing him sucks. They drafted Marshawn Nealon, who I really like, um, so he could possibly step into a role. Um, but the big thing was Deron Bland, because for the longest time, everybody's like, man, we get Deron Bland on the field with Trevon Diggs, and they
Yep.
blah blah blah, and then Deron Bland's on IR, designated a return. But they traded for Andrew Booth, who I really like, come out of Clemson. He just hasn't put it all together. He's still young. He's probably 24, so he's still a young guy. So maybe he can step up and make some noise. But as for the Cowboys, they live or die by Dak, man. Dak plays some games where he plays exceptional. He's like Trevor Lawrence. He plays really, really well, and you're like, damn, like Dak's really turning it on. And then he plays other games where you're like, oh, jeez, here we go again.
Yes.
So it's hard to say what you're going to get from the Cowboys, to be honest. And I feel like they're maybe this might be a little bit of a stretch from maybe they're not as talented this year as they were last year.
I mean, I could buy that. I could buy into that. Honestly, I could. I agree with that.
Yeah, and Cleveland, I would love to see Deshaun Watson go back to I'm one of the few people left on this planet that still likes Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I would really like to see Deshaun Watson do something down there in Cleveland, kind of get his name right. Eventually, when they get Nick Chubb back, hopefully he comes back 100% and just takes over the league by storm again. Because I'm a big Nick Chubb fan, but
Yeah.
Browns have a hell of a defense, great offensive line. They have all the pieces. Getting Jerry Jeudy and putting him with Amari Cooper, like they have the potential to make some noise, but it all falls on Deshaun Watson. Both teams are actually built very similar, and
Yes. Yes. Yes.
they live or die by the other. So
For me, I think the Cowboys win this. Even though it's in Cleveland, I think Cowboys win.
I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys too. Yeah, I think I'm
Going
gonna
with
go
the
with the
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Okay. And the
Yeah.
one thing too is like the line is 2.5 Cleveland and then 40.5 points over under. I think that's a very low number for two teams that can put up points, especially they score points on defense. So 40.5 seems awfully low. I might take the over on that as well. I know this has been a very long-winded podcast. It's week one. We're trying to cover everything and everything. Um, so we'll run through the last three games. Next one, it's not going to be super in depth. I mean, on my part, but I'm excited for it. Commanders, Buccaneers, Jaden Daniels, man. This, bro, if he can show out like he did in pre, Washington fans got some exciting things.
Finally.
That dude, I love Jaden Daniels. I'm just gonna come out and say it. And
Yep.
honestly, I still Scary Terry. I mean, offensively, it's kind of shaky. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, Jaden Daniels, and I think they're gonna rely a lot on Jaden Daniels' legs. But I think it's going to be exciting to watch because he's going to extend plays. He's going to open up the field. He's going to make people commit. He's going to make people miss, and it's going to open up players down the field. And I think it's going to be exciting to watch Jaden Daniels play this year. I really do. On the flip side, Buccaneers, they're kind of where they were at last year, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not. Do the Buccaneers sneak into the playoffs again? Time will tell. Obviously, Kate Otten. Love Kate Otten. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashad White, Baker. Defensively, Kalijah Cansey, which I'm hoping that he takes a step forward and being that quote unquote next Aaron Donald, even though I get it, he went to Pitt, that's why he's compared, blah, blah, blah. Vita Vea is Vita Vea. Levante David, the ageless wonder. Jamel Dean, Jordan Whitehead, Antoine Winfield. Not much has changed, let's be honest.
No.
The Buccaneers, another team that you're not thinking Super Bowl with them. I mean, I'm not at least.
No.
The exciting part for me is Jaden Daniels in this game. And honestly, if Jaden Daniels comes out and lights it up and goes crazy with his legs, the Commanders, I think, could win this game. I really think the Commanders could win.
I agree
I
with that,
just,
man. I'm very concerned with Jaden Daniels, he's another one that takes a lot of unnecessary hits, like very unnecessary hits, but their offensive line makes me very like nervous. Their offensive line is not good.
it's not. It's not at
it's
all.
not it's not they do not have a good offensive line. Um, so I am concerned about that, and like freelancing in the pocket and scrambling around the pocket is different than running up the field and getting leveled.
Yes.
So I do get that, but just I don't know, for that game, if you guys want to watch matchups, maybe try and see how that offensive line holds up
Yeah.
against the Tampa Bay's front seven.
Not wrong there. Not wrong
Yeah,
there.
because I could see Jaden Daniels running for his life. I really could.
And honestly, I mean, you're probably not wrong on that aspect of it. And hopefully it doesn't turn into an Anthony Richardson ordeal. But we'll see what happens with Jaden Daniels.
Yep, I just want him to stay healthy and play to his potential because the dude is. If I'm the Commanders fans, I'd be excited.
He's a freak of nature. He's one of them talents that you're just like, damn, fun to watch, just top to bottom.
Yeah, he got better every year in college. He got better and better and better, and that's definitely promising.
Right. Late game Sunday, big one. Big one for one fan base. The other fan base, it's one of them another team that you're just like, what you don't know what to get. Obviously, star-studded receiver core, great receiving core, awesome running back. Defensively, a little shaky. But Rams and Lions. The Lions are right there. The Lions were right there last year.
Yep.
If it wasn't for some questionable moments and calls, the Lions are in the Super Bowl. We're talking about the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Obviously, everyone knows Matt Stafford versus Jared Goff, the flipping of the teams, so on and so forth. What do you expect from the Rams this year?
Dude, I'll be honest. Even last year, I didn't really expect the Rams to do much, and I'll be honest, they surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua really came out of nowhere and just he was dominant. I mean, I don't use that phrase often, but he was dominant. I
Couldn't
mean,
cover him. You could not cover the guy.
you couldn't cover him, and then Cooper Kupp when he got back from the injury, I mean, that just kind of balanced the whole deal out. But yeah, if Matthew Stafford's slinging it like he was, and you get Kyron Williams who can make the big run. They added Blake Corum. Offensively, they're rock solid, dude. I really think that the Rams are rock solid. Like you said before, I'm not saying Super Bowl contender or whatever, but they definitely added some pieces to the Rams this off season too. I mean, they lost Aaron Donald, but they've added pieces to this defense as well.
Brandon
So
Fisk, Jared Verse.
yeah, I mean, I think they could be rock solid. I think they could kind of be about the same as they were last year. I think they just be one of those teams that people kind of like sleep on, but they come in and they punch you in the mouth.
Now, my question for you is the Lions. Did the Lions
Uh,
do enough to take the next step?
honest to God,
Because the next step would be Super Bowl. I mean, they were in the championship last year.
dude, the Lions really impressed me the most um, in the off season, just because you could tell they took it seriously. Like that loss like hurt them, and they were like,
Yes.
dude, we were right frickin' there, but our secondary's garbage. We got to do something about this, and they did. I mean, they
Yeah,
went out and
yeah.
they just drafted stud after stud, and I have high hopes for the Lions this year. I really do. I think that the Lions are a better team now than they were last year, and they went far last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they get Tyrion Arnold, they get Rakestraw. You know what I mean? Like you
They
had all
brought
these
in
players.
Carlton Davis.
Yeah, you put frickin' DJ Reader next to Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson in them. Come on, dude. Like they fixed every problem that they had going into the off season.
They addressed it.
They fixed it. They addressed it. And the big thing for them is I want to see Jameson Williams take the next step. If Jameson Williams takes the next step next to Sun God and Sam Laporta, dude,
Lions will be a team to be reckoned with. I agree.
yeah, they already have maybe the best offensive line, if not the Eagles, but they may have the best offensive line in the league. Two stud running backs who complement each other extremely well. A quarterback who's playing very well. He's not Patrick Mahomes, he's not Josh Allen, he's not whatever, but the dude wins games and he plays his role extremely well and he makes the throws when he needs to. The defense, telling you, dude, if Tyrion Arnold and Rakestraw, Carlton Davis, Brian Branch, all them young dudes, if they play up to their potential, which Brian Branch, we know what we got. He's a dog. But if these other guys, these rookies come in and play to that potential that they have, I don't see any holes in the Lions team, really.
No, they're honestly the most sound and complete team in my eyes. I agree with you 100%.
They're just young as shit. Yeah, they're just young as shit.
I think this game could be a land. It's gonna test the cornerbacks of the Lions 100% going against a healthy Cooper Kupp, a healthy Puka Nakua, good running back. It's gonna test them, but I think that the Lions they force some turnovers. This game could get ugly quick. I think it could get very ugly quick.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Jameer
I
Gibbs
really do.
gets loose. I mean, Sun God gets loose. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot on this that's right, and I think a lot of people are anticipating, and I love the fact that it's the night game. A lot of people are anticipating this game Like this could be one of them games that you're just like, this is one of the best Sunday night football games I've watched in a long time.
Yeah, and of course it's got the story. You know, like you said with Jared Goff and Matt Stafford and all that. It's got the story, dude. Like it's everything the NFL ever wanted. You know,
Yep, 100%.
they love
Me,
that
I'm taking
shit.
the Lions. I'm taking the Lions minus three and a
Yep,
half. I win. I think they win by 10.
I'm also going with the Lions. Yep, I'm 100% with you on that.
And then to close it out, we have
Here we go.
Jets and the 49ers. The Aaron Rodgers return tour. Here we go. We both love Aaron Rodgers, no doubt. The Jets went and got him another weapon in Mike Williams. Obviously, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall.
Braylon Allen, Malachi Corley, if he can break the lineup. Shit.
Uh,
Tyron Smith, if he can stay healthy. Olu Fashanu.
yeah.
Come on.
The Jets addressed what they needed to. Their defense is their defense. They went and got Chuck Clark, which is, I love that. Turnover machine. Will McDonald, if this man can just figure it out. I love Will
Him
McDonald.
and Jermaine Johnson both. Yeah, if they can just figure it out, dude. Him and Jermaine Johnson, dude. Unbelievably athletic and talented, dude.
I mean, they got Kinlaw.
He's another one, underachiever.
Yes.
All the potential in the world. He just needs to put it together.
Obviously, Sauce, DJ Reed on the other side, Chuck, Michael Carter in the slot. I mean, the Jets are going to be as good as they can be with Aaron Rodgers. As long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, that line protects him, the Jets will be a good team.
Yeah.
I 100% believe it. Last year, Aaron Rodgers played, 6 snaps towards Achilles. We didn't get to see what the Jets are going to do. Healthy A-Rod, having those receivers, that running back. But they do have a matchup against a team that has been so good defensively, and Brock Purdy makes all the throws that is asked of him and plays in that system very well. Like I always say, he's a product of the system. He's a product of Shanahan. But Ayuk signed his deal. Still got Debo, Ricky Pearsall. Shout out to Ricky. Glad he's okay, recovering. That's actually crazy that he got shot.
He's a legend.
Insane. I'm glad he's okay. I really like Pearsall, and it's just another aspect to that team of already loaded offense.
Did you know that he was back at the facility working out this morning?
That's actually insane. I did not know.
He just got shot in the chest.
I did not know that. That's actually
He's
that's
a goat,
disgusting.
dude. He's a legend.
That is
right?
actually disgusting.
Shout out to Ricky.
Another very under the radar signing that they did is bringing in Leonard Floyd, and it didn't get like the headlines of like, because he's kind of, I get it, like he's 31, but he brings that veteran presence to that defense, and he's played so well. Like he's a very consistent lineman that I think is huge. I mean, obviously Fred Warner, Greenlaw. Is Greenlaw still hurt?
I would say he's got to be. Yeah, he's got to be.
Yes.
He's,
yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
But
they brought in Devondre Campbell. Shit.
Yeah. Devondre. Like there's that team has been good and inconsistent. They just cannot win that big game. And once again, I think that Brock Purdy is the Achilles heel, and if Brock Purdy plays a clean game, Brock Purdy wins game. So, man, this could be this could be a great game. If Aaron Rodgers plays Aaron Rodgers football, this game could be nuts.
I agree with that, man. I really do. I don't see why that if Aaron Rodgers comes out and plays like Aaron Rodgers, I don't see why this wouldn't be a great game. I mean, top to bottom, both teams.
Two of the best defenses in the league,
Yeah.
and two high-powered offenses. Well, potential to be high-powered offenses. Two great running backs, great receivers. I mean, these teams on paper match up top to bottom identical.
I'm excited for this game, man. I think it's two really good late games, man. I really do.
A week one closer with San Francisco and the Jets is awesome. And usually the Jets, you're like, oh god, I got to watch Sam Darnold or I got to watch whoever the quarterback is.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Like we're talking about Aaron Rodgers has the potential to come out and show. I still got it, man. I still got it.
I think he still does, man. I think he's still got it. And I know a lot of people don't like Aaron Rodgers for whatever reason, but another thing that can't go understated too is that the 49ers once again made it to the championship, you know, and the big dance. And they did it without Hufanga,
Yes.
and he's back. Yeah, that's baby Troy, dude. He works out
You
with
know.
Troy Polamalu, and you can tell by the
Yeah,
way he plays.
you 100% can tell.
Yeah, you can tell, man. But Hufanga's an animal, man, and he's back for San Francisco. That is huge on that back end.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
Who
we
you
got some
got in
good
this
games
game?
this week. Ooh, damn, man. I want to roll with my dude Aaron Rodgers just 'cause like he's back. You know what I mean? But ah, I think I'm gonna say San Francisco though. I think San Francisco's gonna win this game.
I'm going on the other side. I'm taking the Jets.
I'm taking the Jets. See, I'm like, if Aaron's my dude, bro. Like it's so hard to freaking ah.
I'm taking the Jets. I think the Jets come out and show what they wanted to show last year.
You know what? I'm going with you. I'm going with you with the Jets. I am. I'm gonna go with you with the Jets.
I think we see a little slide from the 49ers. Maybe a little
Man,
slight
wouldn't that
slide.
be? You know how many people like that'd be like a huge upset to a lot of people, but I'm like, dude, that's Aaron Rodgers, bro.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Now, if we
this
were
isn't
talking
Zach
about,
Wilson.
yeah, if we were talking about Zach Wilson, yeah, I agree. All right. So this is a very long-winded podcast. Like I said, we wanted to cover every single thing possible. We're 2.5 hours in. I'm gonna run back down. I'm just gonna give wins and losses. I'm taking Ravens over Chiefs. I'm taking Eagles over Packers. Man, Steelers Falcons over on the total. Bills to beat the Cardinals. Bears to beat the Titans. Bengals to beat the Patriots. Texans to beat the Colts. Dolphins over the Jaguars. Saints over the Panthers. Vikings over the Giants. Chargers over the Raiders. Seattle over Broncos. Cowboys going to Cleveland, beating the Browns. The Buccaneers to beat the Commanders. The Lions to beat the Rams. And the Jets to beat the 49ers. Anything you want to touch on before we end this and call it a wrap?
I just want to say that real quick. Thanks to the people that did tune in and kind of listen to our 2.5 hour long monologue about some of these games. But it's week one, man, so definitely exciting and everything. And I hope everybody enjoys week one of football, man.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. And what a good slate we have. I know we said it a million times, but we have a great lineup of football coming up starting tomorrow, 8:30 kickoff. Ravens Chiefs. Appreciate every single one of you that tuned in, that have reached out, have commented, everything top to bottom. We greatly appreciate every single one of you guys. We'll be back every single week until the end of the season, and then obviously covering, like we did last year, the draft, so on and so forth. Hence the name DraftCast. We are Brandon and Steven. We appreciate every single one of you, and all we do is be us about football, and we'll catch you in the next one.